It is such an incredible honor to celebrate the 4th year of the Science Policy Award of Excellence Youth category with all of you tonight, and with you, Minister Duncan and Mayor Dad. We designed this award to help young Canadians from all walks of life to view themselves as important contributors to finding evidence-based solutions to the tricky problems that face our society. Ce prix reconnaît une jeune personne de moins de 35 ans qui a élaboré une proposition de politique novatrice et convaincante, fondée sur des données probantes qui devraient faire une différence positive pour les Canadiens. Les propositions sont liées à un ou plusieurs thèmes de la conférence et se sont évaluées en aveugle. So it's a surprise for us when we find out who the winners are. Par notre comité d'experts en fonction de leur utilisation efficace des preuves, de leur impact attendu, leur créativité et la façon dont elles communiquent leurs solutions en langage clair. So why does the CSPC champion these awards? Well, last year we heard our winner and runners-up say that this experience of applying and coming to this conference opened their eyes to new possibilities and new strengths within themselves. Our 2016 winner, Amani Saini, transformed her award win into creating an NGO, collaborating with physicians and politicians to work to reduce the frequency of adverse drug reactions through genetic testing. 2016 runner-up Jessica Ross recently co-founded Phosphorus Hub, an outreach effort to encourage phosphorus reuse, and she and her co-founder were top 10 finalists in this year's Mars Discovery District's Women in Clean Tech Challenge. Last year's runner-up, Dr. Dina M. Hamza, is putting her drive to change the way doctors learn to support mental illness into action by evaluating curriculum changes in postgraduate medical education at the University of Alberta. And 2017 runner-up Megan Grabowski met with senior management in the Yukon government about her recommendation to improve the Yukon Scientists and Explorers Act. And she received news that her recommendations would be implemented in improvements that would be made. The passion that these young people have who apply to these awards is really palpable and inspiring. And they're using this award as a platform to really make a difference. So it's such a privilege to work with them on this. Mais ces prix ne seraient pas possibles sans l'engagement et le dévouement de nos incroyables membres du comité de prix. Je vais demander à ceux qui sont ici de se lever. Veuillez vous joindre à moi à remercier Catherine Hayashi of Triumph Innovations, Ted Sue, everybody knows Ted, Paul Dufour of University of Ottawa and PolicyWorks, Karine Morin, ma co-animatrice. And we also have two others who are not here tonight, Arvind Gupta, who is the founder of MyTax and professor at the University of Toronto, and last year's winner, Sierra Clark, who is currently studying in the UK. This award would quite simply not have been possible without the work of many volunteers, particularly the chair of this year's Awards Committee Secretariat, Joshua Bowie of ISED. Many thanks also to Charles McIver, Kin Cook, and Yazin Abed for helping make it all happen. Et je ne peux pas penser à aucune personne de plus appropriée pour présenter ce prix que notre ministre des Sciences et Sports, l'honorable Kirsty Duncan. It has truly been a privilege to work with her these past 3 years, both at CSPC and during my day job. Elle est une championne passionnée à la fois pour encourager les jeunes et à se voir dans la science et pour placer la preuve au cœur de la prise de décision du gouvernement. Please help me welcome Minister Duncan to come up and present these awards. So our first runner-up is Samuel Looper. He partnered with Claire Veliconia, and they are undergraduate engineering students at the University of Toronto, where they are drivers behind the University of Toronto's aerospace team's space policy division. They were inspired by the wildfires in Fort McMurray to identify ways that Canada's space program could play a more active role in helping to avert such disasters with their proposal, Wildfire Disaster Monitoring and Management through the Canadian Space Agency. Anna Levinson is a postdoctoral fellow at the Montreal Heart Institute and the Université de Montréal Department of Medicine, who was stunned to discover that even though heart failure is the second most common cause of death among women, drugs for heart failure are generally only tested in men, and there are no sex-specific guidelines for the treatment of heart failure, even though many diseases affect men and women quite differently. This prompted her proposal, Sex, Drugs, and Cardiovascular Disease. Cardiovascular drug development needs more women. Now, please join me in welcoming our 2018 CSPC Award of Excellent Youth Category winner, Jessica Kolopanik. I didn't realize we had that music. Jessica is a PhD candidate in the Department of Political Sciences at the University of Victoria and is Cree, descended from the Pequis First Nation. She was inspired by her family's strength and resilience in the face of its history with colonialism and a legacy of gender-based violence. She imagines a collaborative and productive approach to bringing forensic DNA evidence to bear to help identify missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and bring those who harmed them to justice without perpetrating past imbalances of power. In her proposal, an Indigenous approach to Canada's National Missing Persons DNA program. Thank you so much, Minister Duncan and Mayor Dad, for helping to hand out these awards. We will hear now from our winner. She's going to give us a little 2 to 3 minute speech about her proposal.
Bonjour. Wobishke sabe kwe nidishnikas, nidudem makwa. I introduced myself in Anishinaabe, the Anishinaabe language, to show my respect for and to situate my relationship to the Algonquin peoples. I come from Treaty 1 territory where the Red and Assiniboine rivers meet at the Forks, Winnipeg. I'm Cree, Nitsigason, Wapiske, Miigwan, from Pequis First Nation, and I grew up on my ancestral lands in the shared territories of the Cree, Anishinaabe, Assiniboine, and Métis peoples. I pay my respect to the Algonquin peoples, to other Indigenous peoples of this territory, and to all of their elders who have lived here, who live here now, and who will live here in the future. I acknowledge those present tonight, the dignitaries, the professors, the students and postdocs, the administrators and the industry professionals, the media communicators, the public servants and the not-for-profits, the support staff, the community members, and the ancestors who are housed in this building. And of course, our hosts here at the Canadian Museum of History. I humbly thank the CSPC for honoring me with this award, and I offer my congratulations to Anna, Sam, and Claire. In Canada, there are over 1,182 missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. To put this number of lives into context, if the same proportion of women and girls were missing and murdered among Canada's total population, there would be over 1 million missing and murdered women and girls. International, federal, provincial, and Indigenous research all conclude that the hyper-victimization of Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirited is systemically linked to Canada's history of race and gender-based policies of assimilation many of them which had been backed by eugenic science studies. My policy idea is premised on the conviction that reconciliation will remain incomplete until the lives of all are valued equally. Forensic science policy and the National Missing Persons DNA Program in particular have a responsibility to support a decolonial Canada by helping to identify those who have been lost and equally to help hold their offenders accountable. But this must be done by prioritizing the political status of Indigenous peoples and as nations. Internationally, large-scale DNA-based identification projects have set a global precedent, and that is that massive coordinated efforts to find unidentified individuals in the wake of mass loss of life are possible. An Indigenous approach to Canada's National Missing Persons DNA program is also possible. The legacy of gender-based violence moves through my own family, as it does for many Indigenous families who have endured historical, interpersonal, and ongoing traumas associated with colonialism. Less well known to the outside world, though, are the legacies of strength, resilience, and love that we also pass on intergenerationally. By imagining a policy idea that contributes to ending systems of violence rather than reducing their harm, my proposal is a sign of the collective endurance of Indigenous peoples and our refusal to be altogether defined by victimization. I express my deepest gratitude to the selection committee of the CSPC for recognizing my proposal. In doing so, you have affirmed the value of the lives of Indigenous women and girls, and you have affirmed the need to support Indigenous governance in the creation of federal science policy. On behalf of myself and the communities that sustain me and to whom I am responsible, I thank you.